Hi everyone, my name is Heather Havenwood and welcome to Like a Boss. Now get ready for this show today because we have 3 hot and sexy women on the show. They're all badass, sexy bosses. So listen up. This is going to be a good one for you. And of course we have Texans and Aussies. Are you in New Zealand or Australia? I didn't ask.
New Zealand. Yeah, we're Kiwis.
Oh, you're Kiwis. That's even better. I love New Zealand. It's one of my dearest hearts. So that's awesome. So Texas to New Zealand, and it's like 7 o'clock in the morning there.
We're like, yeah, waking up, it's fine.
You guys rock. So the fact that you guys are up and coherent is awesome. So, okay, I'm going to tell you who I'm talking to today. 2 millennials on a mission to help everyone reap the infinite benefits of nailing Instagram. That's Viv Conway and Tash Meys. Is that right? Great name.
Yeah, nailed it.
Is that right? Did I do it right?
Yeah, that's right. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Viv and Tash have cracked the code of influencer marketing through social media, becoming powerful voices on Instagram through their side hustle. Viv and Tash focus on things Instagram, including influencer marketing, giveaways, and how to use Instagram to drive traffic to your website and product. The pair have over 200,000 net followers on their personal Instagrams and have worked with clients from 70 followers to 1.9 million followers across the United States and Australia and New Zealand, of course, because there's no other countries in the world. But I'm just giving you a hard time. Okay, this is really great. So by the way, you can find them at acethegram.com/the win. So if you know that my show used to be called The Win and now it's called Like a Boss, it's okay. Still go there. It's still valid. It's acethegram.com. All right. So, Miss Millennials, which I think it's adorable, you guys doing this. Let's start at the beginning, and I'm not gonna tell y'all who's gonna talk. Y'all gotta figure that out. So, tell me how this all got started.
Sure. So our journeys, I guess, with Instagram and how we started an Instagram specialist company, which is quite niched, is at uni we were both working on projects which had to do with Instagram, just for our own, I guess, different side hustles. So I had a health and wellness account because I was really passionate about health and wellness. And then I was posting my photography and recipes on there. And then as I was graduating, that Instagram was getting me more opportunities than my degree. So I sort of went full social media. And
for me, I started a sportswear brand in my second year of uni. So at the time I was paying for Facebook ads. I was trying to use Instagram kind of like any business owner, just sort of winging it and figuring out what works. And for me, that was Instagram. So I managed to drive the majority of my website traffic from Instagram. And it was sort of from there that people started to ask us how we were getting all the success, how they could do it for themselves. Yeah. And it was sort of like a year down the track that we got clients, and then so became Ace the Gram a little bit later down the track. And now we focus more on consulting and courses to help other people out.
Okay, cool. All right. So one of you started a sports athletic store, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And you don't do that anymore?
No, don't do that anymore. That was quite a few years ago. Yeah.
So why? I'm super curious because it looked like he was doing really well. It looked like it was 55,000 followers or something crazy. Why end it?
To be honest, I started training for an Ironman. So I was working full time and I started training for an Ironman, and there was zero time in my life to do vivid sportswear. So different priorities, I suppose. And managing Instagram accounts and stuff, that was sort of where the focus was. Yeah,
and I think you learn so much from every business that you're a part of, and I think all the skills that she learned from running a sportswear brand that she brings to this business is so ideal. Yeah. So it's been really good.
Well, I'm just it's super it's unique to find something that was successful and then it was stopped, right? That's always a question, what happened? And then I'm just curious, let's going down that brand for a second. When you first started, you obviously had a ton of traffic there. Was most of your traffic at the time from Instagram?
Yeah, from Instagram, and it would spike quite heavily when I would use influencers, so give free product or pay influencers with larger followings to post in Vivid Sportswear. Okay.
And then was that business profitable before you let it go?
Yeah, it was profitable, and then it started to not be profitable. just like any business can be at some time. So I've made some massive risks, and they didn't work out so well.
Right.
But that's good. Yeah.
Okay, it's so adorable. You guys are like, let's not talk about that. But that's right, and that's fine, and I totally get it. But I will say, coming from an older woman to a younger millennials, I mean, it's in the failure that you find that like answer, right?
Yeah,
so,
100%.
yeah. So I talk about my big, huge, massive failure. I talk about how, completely bankrupt now, but at the time, and I share the story in other shows, shared the story that at the time it was happening like a year after, I had a friend reach out like, one day you're going to share your story. I was like, hell, no. I cussed at him, of course. But I mean, I said, no, there's no way I'm telling this story because I don't want anyone to know my failure. At the same time, that kind of like in a weird way, having that failure, I wouldn't say failure, but having something that succeeded and stopped succeeding, whatever that was, I wouldn't call it a failure, I wouldn't label that. But having something succeed and not succeed is actually like a what I call a scar and a reputation. It's like you have to have some of those. You gotta have some,
and it's all just feedback. Yeah, it's all just feedback, and you learn so much from it. And it's just like something that happened, right? Like it's all just feedback, and like Tash says, you just learn so much, and it actually makes you not afraid to sort of. Can I swear on the podcast?
Yeah, you can swear.
It makes you. it makes you not afraid to fuck up in the future, for sure. Right. It's all good.
So what's a big lesson that you learned from that particular business that you stopped doing?
I think my biggest lesson was actually because I was doing it by myself, and I didn't even speaking of being afraid of failure, at the start I didn't even tell anyone I was doing it for 6 months until like packages started arriving on my flat door from Colombia, and people were like, what are you doing? And I think what I learned was that you have to, for me anyway, as a business owner, I have to talk things through with people. I didn't ask for others' opinions enough. So I'd make really silly mistakes all the time that would have actually just been solved had I just asked for someone's feedback or something, or like, really silly example, but didn't have a ruler, so I Googled one. Not a good idea.
Wait, you have a what? You have a what?
A ruler, like a
ruler?
Like for measurement.
Oh,
yeah. I didn't have a ruler, so I Googled one. And all my stickers came out the wrong size. Like the stupidest mistakes. And it's like, just open your mouth and talk to someone, and you would not have these issues right now. Do you know what I mean?
So there's a video out there, and I'm sure it's on Instagram. I know we're gonna get to your stuff. Don't worry. But and I love you millennials. You guys are adorable. But there is a video. Swear to God, and I can't tell if it's like a spoof, but this person is telling their millennial friends or something, saying, here's $20, go get gas in the gas tank. And she goes to where you put the credit card in, and she tries to put the dollar in. Like, it's not So that underlies like what millennials don't understand. It's like, you guys just have a credit card. And so the millennial keeps coming back like, it won't take the money. Like it, it's the whole funny thing, right? It's like the Google the ruler. You guys are like, it's almost like they were like, you should Google how do you put a $20 bill in the gas tank. You guys
I know.
So cute.
Yeah, literally
it's
like
so
that.
bad. And had you just it's so stupid. But at the time I was just so in my head, and I was like, well, I'll just Google one. There'll be one online. I'll just Google image a ruler. It'll be fine.
I just found out this week on an app. Someone was texting me and they go GTS, and I'm like, what's GTS? Like, Google that shit. So like, oh, okay.
I did not even know that.
I didn't know they were doing that. That is a good one.
I didn't know. They're like big GTS, and I'm like trying to think what they were saying, and I'm like, what? All right, I'll just like, what's GTS?
Wow, I'm gonna use that. Thanks
I'm
for that.
so #GTS. Google that shit. Okay. I just taught a millennial something, everyone. I just want
you did.
Wow.
You did. That's your word.
You don't give yourself enough credit.
I just feel so sexy for that. Okay. All right. Let's go to Instagram. All right. Let's talk about Instagram. So in the green room, you and I were talking about how I feel nowadays, especially as a woman, trying to get out there and trying to get my name out there myself. It's like, I feel like the only time people have likes and, hearts is when women are showing their boobs, you know what I mean? And or showing something of that nature. And nothing wrong with that, by the way. I just feel like, does that really convert? Is that really driving good traffic, or is it just driving likes? And this, I feel like Instagram's still at the beginning where Facebook was many years ago. Like, oh my God, I have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 100,000 followers on my Facebook page. But we found later that really doesn't convert into necessarily good traffic, right? So my question is, what's unique about Instagram, number one, and number two, what are you finding really is working? And when do you come across a client with the whole female thing, they're just showing their boobs, which again, I'm okay with that. Are you finding that being effective in a business level?
Yeah, so I think to start with, Instagram has a lot of different niches. So there's kind of like, the quote pages niche and the entrepreneur niche, and then all the business pages niche. And I think in the past there was sort of that reputation of like, you would only post, girls would only post that kind of thing. But I think that's just a certain niche now. And that's like, if you go searching for that, you'll find it, but it's not everywhere anymore. Like, so many businesses we work with and talk to, that's the majority of their marketing success is using Instagram. There's such a business community there now, and there's such a sort of professional zone of Instagram, which, because it's a visual platform that also other users are on, it's a little bit more fun. So we find that, I guess, Instagram as a platform is really effective because it's so simple. It's just a simple, like, image, like one-step action interface, other than so many other platforms which have, like Facebook, for example, so many different functions that you can do. You can get lost on Facebook, whereas Instagram, it's super simple, and that's why the engagement is so high for businesses, and it's the highest engagement of any social platform because there's literally only one option. Like, you either like something or you don't. So
yeah, I think the other massive thing, like you mentioned, Tash, about it being so effective, is that at the moment where Instagram is that you're actually at a level playing field along with someone else's friends. So if you do have like a business page and someone follows you, you've got equal chance of being showed on one of your followers' timelines as you do one of their best friends. And we just don't see that on social media platforms at the moment, namely Facebook, where the average engagement is like 0.1 for organic, and Instagram's 2 to 4%. So it's a really exciting.
What did you say, 24%?
So at the moment, organic traffic, like unpaid, for Facebook is like 0.1%. If you post on your Facebook business page and like 2 of your friends like it, versus if you post on your Instagram page, you've got an average engagement rate of about 2 to 4%. So we're seeing a lot higher rates at no cost on Instagram, or no sort of paid promotion cost. And that's really exciting because with shoppable tags and so on, we're still seeing that those engagement rates are high, and it's just such a big opportunity for businesses, big or small.
What kind of businesses are you finding the best engagement on for Instagram? What type of businesses?
I think the businesses that have a product that can be regrammed by the users. So if you have like an amazing cake, and then not only can you take amazing content of that, but when you send it out to your customer, they can also take a photo of that and shout that out on their feed and reach their friends. I think those are the brands that we're seeing that are getting some really epic engagement.
Kind of like tangible or visually like aesthetic products. So whether it's a beauty company or it's a clothing company or a food company, something that you can take a photo of, you get the whole vibe of it when you go on the Instagram account.
As an example, you must have seen people like whitening their teeth, right? Like heaps of influencers, with teeth whitening in. And a lot of those brands have been clever and like put their branding on the front of the product. And so it's just small things like that they know people are going to take a photo of. They get their brand in there, and it's just all around great brand awareness, which is so exciting.
So what kind of companies are you currently working for or working with?
So we have a range of different types, because we either do consulting with the brand, or we'll have like them do one-on-one, or just they'll buy the course, or they'll be in our Facebook group. So we've worked with a range, so like a test prep company who did
like information products,
a lot of food, a lot of food products like smoothie powders, or what kind of FMCG products, or what else have we been doing lately?
A lot of I don't know. We've had some trickier ones. Do you know?
Yeah, like real estate agents,
trades,
gyms.
and but it's all.
I mean, obviously, Instagram's all about imagery, right? So if someone says to you, okay, look, do we need to really hire someone full-time for this, or a full-time graphic person, or what in the hell do we, if it's a real estate agent, I mean, there's only so many times you could put down there's a house, even if it's food, do you need to have I was making fun of it, but it's like, do you have someone literally full-time photographer walking around? Like what, and I think the ones I'm thinking about, you're talking a lot about consumers products right now. You have today anyway. I think the ones I'm thinking about is what I call lifestyle conversations. So there's Brandon Bush and some other ones that it literally looks like they're on the front cover of a magazine every day, and I'm just like, Are you walking around with the cover like, I'm on a cover? You know what I mean? It's like, so,
Yeah.
and I'm okay with that. I'm just, my questions on a strategy level is like, is that really, obviously they get high engagements. I see there's a huge positive, what I call likes, but is that really getting engagement? Is that converting into dollars? Is that really converting into a fan base where people are saying, yes, you look like you're on the front cover of a magazine every single day of your life. So yes, I must follow you because you know what you're doing. I mean, is that what the marketplace has been showing you guys from more of an information marketing standpoint kind of client?
Yeah. So when you're talking about, more personal brands and the people that look like they're doing all of that, there's definitely a difference so there's always been the classic celebrity marketing, influencer type thing in the past, right? Where you use either a professional athlete or a well-known celebrity as the face of your brand. And the general consumers kind of get to know that person through the media. But I think with social media and Instagram specifically, they get to know a person really intimately of like they're posting every day. They look up to this person kind of like a mini celebrity. And then they also see like the more behind the scenes on their stories. And then, yes, also their captions and their curated feed every day. And I think that combination, I think if an influencer these days only posts the super curated version of just them looking like they're on a magazine every day, then they don't have the same connection with the audience, because in the past Instagram was more aspirational and now it's you don't want to feel like shit when you log onto the platform. So the ones that are a bit more raw and a bit more connection-y, those are the ones that are coming out on top at the moment. So I think if you look at the different people that are doing well on Instagram, doing that kind of thing, there's like, I know I follow this lifestyle blogger, Sarah's Day, and she's always posting kind of gym things and like pretty curated, but not so much. And she's now developed her own line of products and gets insane return. Like people are so passionate about her. Or you look at like an Instagrammer, Law DIY, for example, she's like an American one. And I know she just has such a passionate fan base. And then when her posting her photos every day, and then I think she partnered with Pop Sockets, this little thing that goes on the back of your phone, and they had their biggest sales week ever and things. So it definitely converts. Like when you create a connection with an audience online, especially on Instagram, because you can show up every day, be on their feeds, be in their lives, because people are checking the platform so much, then people do form a real connection with you and then want to buy whatever you're promoting if you do it authentically.
So there's a couple of things with that I want to touch on, because I know as a woman, right now I got lights on and cameras and some cool, okay makeup, not professionally done, but I took a little time. I got a shower going on, So I feel like part of and I'm just asking this question when you talked about people looking more raw. Is that really what's working now today? Is that really okay to have that kind of more rawness? I know for myself, I like to get out there more raw, and it just feels like every time I get on there, everyone looks perfect, and it just. It as someone who is an influencer, or at least I try to be, or at least I'm trying out there to be, it's frustrating. And I'm wondering if you tell it to your clients, and I have my own clients myself, and I'm working right now. I'm going to FinCon next week in Orlando, and I'm really talking to them about I'm building out a huge network and the financial market. And I think it's an interesting conversation, because I know brands want traffic at the end of the day. They want clicks, they want traffic, and I get that. But that doesn't mean that traffic is going to convert, right? It's traffic. I mean, we learned that from the Twitter days. So I think that my question I have is the engagement, because someone has 50,000 followers or 20,000 or 30,000, is that true engagement in Instagram?
I get what you mean, and it totally makes sense, right? Because I remember having sportswear. I remember sending it out to like a really well-known New Zealand influencer, Simone_Anderson, and she was epic. But to be honest, she was on her massive weight loss journey. She lost heaps of weight, and as a result, a lot of it converted well to a point, but not as well as say other products she'd used, because when you think about it, her audience was made up of people who wanted to also lose weight. So I had super overweight people that wouldn't necessarily fit into my thing. So I think the lesson that we can learn from that is figure out who the audience would be. So if someone's just posting half nude pictures of themselves all the time, and you want to give them a product that's going to appeal to females, you might find that their audience is probably not all females. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you can pick someone smaller, but that has a more targeted audience. And I suppose where we're at with Instagram right now is we're quite lucky in that a lot of those personal branding influencers will actually have business profiles with analytics. So you can request screenshots to see where their followers are located. Are they male or female? What age demographics are we talking about? And it's indications like that will actually give you a better insight as to who you should be using.
Yeah, and we're finding, because we do influencer campaigns for people, and the ones that we find are highest converting are the influencers these days, just as a general trend, are the ones that are more raw. So they're the ones that are talking to their camera on their stories, like doing long captions, like just showing more of the real life than the curated life. And in saying that, some of the super curated profiles, they are more, you kind of take them more as like a creative portfolio or art, and that's always going to stay curated, because we kind of think of your Instagram feed like the finished portfolio and the finished like message of what you're trying to portray, and then your Instagram stories are the behind the scenes, and they're the everyday of like how that was created, how the finished portfolio main feed was created.
Okay, so say that again. So you're saying that the Instagram is the curated or the final product?
Yeah.
And then the business is not? Did I get that right?
No, so do you know Instagram stories? The new feature on Instagram that you click through, and they're only out for 24 hours, and then they don't stay on your main feed. So I'm saying that your main feed, which is your normal Instagram page, which stays there all the time, that's a more finished portfolio of whatever your message is. So if you're an influencer, say, it's a more curated version because it's got to look aesthetic, right? Because end of the day, Instagram's aesthetic. The more your feed looks cohesive, often results in more likes and engagement. But what we're noticing is that the stories, which is only 24 hours, like they're only live for 24 hours, the more raw they are and the more behind the scenes they are and the more sort of fails and personality that is up in the stories, that works really well. So that balance is what creates a really strong influencer, of still having the curated professional, because no one wants to go to a profile which is just
someone in their pajamas.
Like there are, like, if it's funny, if it's like a purely for humor and like, that real person, then that's fine. But like there's no kind of reason for someone's next door neighbor's niece and then like a dog and then like a bad photo, like you wouldn't follow that because there's just no reason to. So I think, it's the balance that's really strong now.
Interesting. Okay, so going back to the one question I'd asked and I didn't let you answer it, sorry, is when you're working with a new brand that isn't consistent like that and you tell them to, do you ask them to hire a full-time graphic or photographer? So
if it's a FMCG type of product like food, then we'll shoot that. So we also do food photography and styling. And then we'll just create a portfolio of Instagrammable content and then put that out on their socials. Or if they're in the States or something, then we'll recommend they get some just really nice social media type images shot, which is slightly different to commercial in the fact that it is a little bit more relatable. So say it's a smoothie powder, it's like someone drinking a smoothie and the smoothie's like got ingredients around it, as opposed to like
picture of the packet.
A picture of the packet. Yeah.
Okay.
And then if it's, but you can also source really nice quality content that the company didn't necessarily create. So like unsplash.com is a really good stock photography site that brands can flesh out their social media with really good quality
and I think
images.
Like, as much as if you had the budget to hire someone, that'd be great. Even if you don't, what I like to do as someone who I'd consider creatively challenged is go on something like Pinterest or Instagram, see what other people are posting and try and reenact that with your own product, because it's not going to look exactly the same. Like, it's your product and your photography versus theirs.
Yeah.
But just an idea of what it is, and then use things like VSCO or Lightroom to edit them, and use, like maybe buy like presets so they all look consistent. Or if you are doing more graphic work, use canva.com.
What do you mean by that again, the pre-consistent? I didn't catch that.
The presets.
Presets.
So a lot of, a lot of influencers will sell presets for Lightroom. It's Adobe Lightroom, and it's just photo editing. So like Tastefully Tash sells some, but also a lot of other influencers will sell their presets. So if you like the way that they filter their photos, you can essentially just buy their filters and then tweak them a little bit more to fit your photography.
It's how, you go on Instagram and some feeds just like all have that same vibe, like they all look cohesive as a feed. That's how they do that, is they all edit them the same way.
So they either edit them the same way or they buy them like that the same way.
So they have their own content, but then you can get a Lightroom preset, which is just like a kind of pre-edited settings, and you just apply those to your photos and then tweak them a bit.
Oh, I didn't understand the Lightroom preset. Okay, got it. That's on Adobe. Okay, I didn't understand that. Yeah, the accents are so
well, I was going to say, it's the accent.
It's the accent. Yeah, and so some people might not even know what uni is, right? That's university.
Oh, like college, university.
The uni. Yeah, we're like, is that a bar? Is that like a cool bar? What's that? Yeah, sounds like a cool bar,
So funny.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to stop your flow or anything, but it was cute. Okay, so curious. Let's just talk about lifestyle, like people who are coaches, authors, speakers, that kind of world, like influencers. They don't have a product necessarily, or maybe they're going to be working with the product, but like I'm going to the financial market with one of my podcasts on my network, and the product really is financial services, kind of, So, what exactly would you consult there?
Yeah, so we would figure out your intention for Instagram. So if you say wanted more speaking gigs, or you wanted to reach that target audience, or just whatever your main intention was, and then we would put yourself in that position and create content and post that around that intention. So say you wanted more awareness and to be shown as more of an authority figure in that industry, then we would start posting photos of like you speaking at an event, and then in the caption you might have a little bit of value about like tips and things around the industry that and then kind of like, do you know Gary Vee? Kind of like how the way he's positioned himself in the entrepreneur niche. So he's just posting like little clips of him speaking and doing like valuable advice for entrepreneurs. It shows him at speaking gigs, it shows him at consulting, and what that's done is then created like a global marketplace for people to find him, to then get him to speak at events and get him to be the expert in whatever he wants to be.
And I think for what the example that you mentioned, like the financial market, I think you'd be relying quite heavily on your captions to provide value and give people insight into what you were doing. And not only that, maybe you could be giving away like a freebie in your bio to try and push people over into your sort of awareness funnel at the beginning. Like there's a couple of little tweaks you could do there like that. I like what Tash mentioned about the different types of content based on the intention for the podcast show and that, so on.
Right.
And what I'm seeing a lot at the moment with podcast shows in particular is doing those little snippets. So, taking a 1-minute segment from the podcast and posting that and having a little bit of information about that in the caption. That's been working quite well.
The wave, they call them the wave, the image.
We've found a really effective thing for our podcast. Instagram has been getting people to screenshot when they're listening and then post that on their stories and tagging us, and then we reply to that and repost all of those. And that's just given us like a direct access to our audience, like direct feedback of what they were liking on what episode, and then also awareness for our podcast to all their audience. So it's been quite good.
Cool. Okay, I love that. That's super cute. Okay, I'm taking a lot of your time. Just like you have a couple things you want to talk about on your consulting. You also have your product. So acethegram.com/thewin. Go check that out. And what would they see when they go there?
Yeah, so we've got a few different things for your listeners today. We've got a list of 20 free apps and websites. So we mentioned a few of those today, and they'll just make your life on Instagram a little bit easier. So whether it is editing photos or, cutting up a video to put it on your story, there's heaps of tips there. We've also got sort of like a self-assessment. So figure out where you're at on Instagram at the moment and maybe where you could improve. And then also we've got a chance for your listeners to have a 15-minute discovery call with us. So that's all over on acethegram.com/thewin.
Perfect. Well, I love that. I'm going to do that myself. Ladies, thank you so much for getting up at 6 or 7 in the morning, whatever you have to do.
No worries.
I really appreciate that.
No problem at all. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Okay, when this is Heather Havenwood, Like a Boss, go check out acethegram.com/the win. And Instagram is the latest and greatest. You've got it. It is different. It's unique. I mean, it's not Twitter. It's definitely not. It's not Facebook. It really isn't. So I think it's time for the next level thing, which is Instagram. So ladies, I just really appreciate what you guys are doing and we're creating. Go check them out at acethegram.com/the win. This is Heather Havenwood with Like a Boss. And check us out, of course, on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon with Alexa. All right, everyone, this is Heather Havenwood. Check us out at heatherhavenwood.com.